Fantasy Football League Week 7 recap. What a week. What a week. Let's see. Some of the things that were interesting. Well, the biggest news early on was the Blockbuster trade from Christian McCaffrey. That kind of came out of left field. There was like talks of him going to like the Bills and some others. Yeah, but San Francisco made the big move for him. And it's going to impact a lot of things. And it was kind of like weird because there's a lot of speculation. I think I did talk about last week how it looked like Carolina was going to be a fantasy black hole, but they actually they did good this week. I don't know. It's bananas. The season is bananas. And did it affect them? I mean, in terms of it'll affect the players for sure. As far as it affecting their Super Bowl chances, I don't know. And there's like some big question marks about like, is it worth it? He's a running back. I mean, he's an elite running back, but is it worth it to give up that much capital to get Christian McCaffrey? Remains to be seen. I think the biggest issue is quarterback play. So that's still not addressed, and it kind of puts they're really, really hoping that what's his name, Trey Lance, is the answer, and they don't know because he hasn't played. He's been injured, so we'll see. So that's going to be something that's interesting on a team front, at least for Brad to watch, and then for the rest of us who how it affects us fantasy wise. And then the other big thing was the injuries this week. It was huge. Like, people was going down like flies, and really hurt me. DK Metcalf, Breece Hall, Mike Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Allen Lazard, Chuba Hubbard, David Njoku, Ezekiel Elliott, Jamar Chase, Corey Davis, Mike Boone, Nico Collins. A lot of people got hurt. And yeah, it's crazy. And it's obviously going to affect everything. Anyways, let's just get to the recaps. We can start right now with the first one. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can make it. I lose to Darren, 76.62 to 130.76. And it was going to be a bad day because it started early with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He caught a pass, 4 yards. It was juking people, and then he got hit, and then he got out for the game. They said he was concussed. And to me, it's like overreaction, because guess what? Well, at least I had heard he cleared concussion protocols today. So was it really a concussion? And then what that does for me, 0.9. Between the span of like 10 minutes, both DK Metcalf and Breece Hall go down with season-ending knee injuries. DK Metcalf only giving me 1.7 and is probably going to give me nothing the rest of the way. Breece Hall, who has been the lone bright spot for me, even broke out a big run. 72 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 13.6 points before getting injured and out. And I was like saying, well, at least I got his handcuff. I got Michael Carter, who picked up the load, and hopefully he can help me. Only to find out that a big trade happened today. James Robinson from the Jaguars get traded to the Jets because I guess they're trying to salvage the season. And so that stinks for me because I was like, well, at least I have Michael Carter and he'll be the bell cow. But now he's also part of I don't know. Who do I rate higher? I rate James Robinson higher, so it stinks for me. And then DK Metcalf, losing him. So I lost the number 1 wide receiver. I lost the number 1 running back. And my hope was to like have those guys going forward and then get guys like DeAndre Swift, who's another RB1. And then Amon-Ra, another WR1 to help carry me. But it is what it is. I did pick up Justin Fields. I picked up Jamal Williams. Thanks, Aaron.
He's studying the
but
defenses while he's getting
they
worked
didn't.
on over there.
I mean, they did okay,
Just laying
right?
back
But
watching Game of Thrones.
it is what it is. And then I played the wrong tight end.
That
I think
might
I
be
was
more
playing
like
the
it. He's
I was playing the injury report,
probably
like Dalton Schultz and a bum knee. He ended up with 7.4, much better than a healthy Jelani Woods, 0.9. I guess it's too early for him as a rookie. But no matter, because it didn't matter what I did. Darren had a really good game. Average score from Derek Carr. Mike Evans, pretty good, 14.1. But really good games from Juju Smith-Schuster, 21.9. He had 124 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, 7 catches. Ezekiel Elliott ran roughshod on the Detroit Lions, 15 attempts, 57 rush yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He had 19.2. And Raheem Mostert, 21.62. A big game for him with Miami. He looks like the feature back for Miami. And then Justin Tucker having a really good game. Even though I was able to pick up Myers and he gave me 18.5, there's nothing I can do. As far as the bench goes, Darren played it right. There's not much more. I could have salvaged a bunch of these, and it's kind of tough because DK Metcalf is wide receiver 1. So I'm going to play him over George Pickens. And I could have played Justin Fields. Well, at least these 3. I could have played Pickens at wide receiver instead of Amon-Ra. I could have played Schultz at tight end instead of Jelani Woods, and I could have played Fields, who had a really interesting game. Like, crazy fumbles by Justin Fields, but big runs and big passes. And with the help of their defense tonight, he was able to get a big score, 27.06. But even with those, I think I would have come up to about 115. So still, Darren would have had the win. Darren is looking to be one of the better teams. He now goes to 5-2. I dropped to 2, 4, and 1. Next up, Captain Morgs versus Prince Lama. I think this was going to be a rough game no matter what for Morgan because it was a heavy bye week. As you can see, his heavy hitters, A.J. Brown and Josh Allen, were both out. And Josh Allen is a really, he's a guy who carries this team because I think he's QB1 right now, right? He's doing just like putting 30, 40 points up almost every week. But Joe Burrow had a huge game. He had one of the best games of the season. He had 42.94 points. Jalen Waddle, 10.8. Lazard, 8.5 before he got hurt. Nick Chubb, 19.3. Solid. But Jacobs had 37. That is out of this world crazy. Kyle Pitts only 2.4. Deontay Johnson 7.1. Zerline really good 14.3. And then for Morgan, tough break because Drake London only had 1.4. Sutton only 3.8. Ertz only 5.1. Taylor kind of easing his way back, I guess, 13 points. And Graham Gano, pretty decent, 15.5, 13.1. You had a lot of points on the bench from Eno Benjamin. Maybe he's the feature back for Arizona, 22.5. Maybe not feature back, but definitely explosive because he had 12 carries, 92 yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 4 receptions, 21 receiving yards, and one 2-point conversion. So he can put up big games like that. But here, this is the one. I praised this last week, and it continues to follow through to fruition. Kenneth Walker, 23 rushing attempts, 168 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. I feel like I said, when I was scouting rookies, to me he was RB2. It's just it took an injury for him to get this. We'll see how he progresses because he's obviously going to be game planned for going forward. Yeah, so tough one. There's no way you could catch Eric, who had 142.34 points. All right, let's go to the next one. This was the most exciting game of the week. Aaron, who's now called Getting Everyone's Best Game, versus Richie. Look at the margin of difference here. 145.66 to 144.22. And I'll just say this. It boiled down to Aaron's kicker, Sanders. All he needed was one extra field goal, and this game went to Aaron. But it didn't. And what's interesting too is early on it looked like it was going to be a blowout by Richie, but thanks to late games, Aaron came storming back and nearly had this game. It was a pretty exciting head-to-head matchup for these two. And he was a little look over some of these guys. Kyler Murray, 19.86. Jamar Chase, really good, 29 points, even though now he's dealing with a hip thing. Chris Godwin, only 8.1. Kamara, 15.1, pretty good for a running back. Damian Pierce, 15.7. Everett had 8.8. 20.8. Etienne, starting to take over the backfield, and now he has no competition because James Robinson was traded to the Jets. So you landed an excellent one, Richie. So you got to start him every week from now. He's RB1 and there's no competition. Mayher only had 5.7 and a really strong Dallas D. Smart play against Detroit, 22.6. As far as your bench goes, Montgomery had 13.7. He actually had pretty good volume and decent. And you could have played him. Yeah, no, you played the right running backs. That's fine. Kirk had 13.7. McLaurin had a good 15.8. And Herbert, now you have both the Chicago running backs now. Very good, 18.6. Richie, you have a stacked team. At this point in time, Richie's going to look extremely dangerous going forward. And you start out with this win over Aaron. Again, Aaron had a huge bye week, so excellent job considering the heavy bye, because you didn't have Thomas, Goddard, Jefferson, and a Buffalo D and Bass, but you put up really big points. It's just tough to lose when you have such a good game. Pat Mahomes, 30.42. Tyler Boyd, 25.5. T. Higgins, 11.5. Played two Cincinnati wide receivers. I mean, you kind of forced to when you have so many on the bye, but they both did pretty good, especially Boyd. Saquon Barkley, 17.9, good. CEH, 9.8. And I heard there was news that Pacheco was going to get more carries. I didn't really look and see the outcome, but I don't know. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is an okay back. He's a feature back, but he doesn't perform like one. Ingram, 8.7. Cooks, 6.6. Sanders, 13.7. And a pretty solid defense by Tennessee, 19.7. This turned out to be a pretty exciting fantasy week. Congrats to Richie for eking this one out. Next up is Brownsville Jets versus James Swag Team. James pulls out the win, 109.9, 99.5, so he gets back on the winning track. He caught Mike on a down game, kind of. Lamar Jackson, I don't know what happened. He's down to 12.6. It's kind of trending down. Deebo Samuel, 7. Is that a result of adding Christian McCaffrey? Woods, only 4.1. Kareem Hunt, 7.8. Kenyon Drake, 1.6. What happened there? We'll find out what happened there later. Carlson, 10.5. Miami D, 12.8. Okay. Eckler was his really only bright spot with 31.6. And with that, in the rankings, Eckler moves into first place as RB1. He had Higbee and Robinson on bye. Darren Waller is not playing. Marquise Hollywood Brown is still injured. Tua is back, and it's really, really scary to play him because you don't know if he's going to have a concussion. But he was able to get 18.44. He got away with a lot of stuff. Like there was like a ton of interceptions that should have went to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh should have won that game based on that. But they were fortunate to pull that out. As far as James' team, Tom Brady, oh man, this is a year where experienced Hall of Fame quarterbacks are really, really declining. And Tom Brady is one of them. There's Aaron Rodgers. It's like, man, what is going on with these people? CeeDee Lamb only had 8.7. This was an interesting one. I mean, you play Christian McCaffrey, but they're right. Like, short week with a new team, has to know new terminology. So he is actually a questionable pick this week. You decided to play him anyway. But the only other thing you could have done was flexed in DeAndre Hopkins, which would have helped. Didn't matter because you pulled out the win, but he's going to do much better than 8 points from now on. Robinson, look at that volume, 20 rushing attempts, but only 11.6. So like I said, he's not as talented as the other rookies, but he's getting that volume, so you'll at least have some consistency from him. Brandon Ayuk, another guy who's going to be affected by McCaffrey, but he still had 7 receptions, 82 yards. Will Lutz, these 12 points, and Kansas City D, 13.4. Ooh, Sky Moore had a negative point. Daniel Jones had a huge game for him, 31.7, and the San Francisco D only 1.2. Now, just a little talk on Sky Moore. You're hanging on to him. I agree with hanging on to him because, I'm scouting the rookie wide receivers. I was high on Jameson Williams, the guy that I'm stashing. High on the 2 Ohio guys, Olave and Garrett Wilson. Super high on Garrett, George Pickens. High on Alec Pierce. High on Wan'Dale Robinson. Those are all guys that I said could do some things. To me, Sky Moore is up there with them. I just don't know why they don't play him more. Because if you actually watch him on the tape, his route running is incredible. So I think it may be a matter of like opportunity. If an injury hits, then maybe he'll have a chance with Sky Moore. But he is a legit good receiver. So I agree with hanging on to him for the future. Okay, let's go to the next matchup. Hurts So Good versus Super Mariota. Hey, Brad pulled out a win. It actually looked like Mike was going to win this easily, but then his afternoon games kind of folded on him. I don't know what happened to... Did James Robinson like get injured? I just got to look at this real quick. Since he was questionable, it looks like he played. They just didn't use him. Unless maybe they already... Oh no, they couldn't have because Breece Hall was still... This is a weird one. I don't know why. They just went all in with Etienne, I guess. So the timing is interesting because he's now automatically going to New York Jets, who I think becomes a, if not 1A running back there for the New York Jets. But he got you a donut. Leonard Fournette only 4.4. Harris only had 1.8. Butker 6. Green Bay D 9.9. Garoppolo 21.12. Mike Williams, I think he got hurt too, 18.1. And then your bench is okay. So Mike had a hot start in the beginning, but just like looking at your roster, I don't know, it looks tough going forward, Mike. You might have to try to make some moves. Only because, let's see, well, Hurts was out with a bye, so he's going to hopefully give you better points than Garoppolo. Mike Williams was hurt. Curtis Samuel is talented, but the quarterback situation in Washington is kind of junk. Maybe the change of scenery for Robinson will help. Leonard Fournette is capable of having big games, but they shockingly got destroyed by Carolina. Kelsey had 12.8. I mean, you can rely on him at least. Harris is, to me, the second running back there. And he only had 3 carries, so the volume isn't there for him either. Yeah, that's kind of looking scary for your team. I think Bateman, when healthy, he'll be like wide receiver 1. Maybe they're kind of easing him in. And like I said, Wan'Dale Robinson is another rookie wide receiver that I'm sort of high on. So maybe if they start to improve, they can help you down the stretch. For Brad's team, he went back to Mariota, dumping Russell Wilson, getting him 13.46 points. Pretty bad for a quarterback. Myers had 10.4 for New England, and he is really only buoyed by that receiving touchdown. Rondale Moore has another bad game. only one catch for 31 yards. I don't know what it is with that offense. I guess maybe Hopkins is the guy to go to. Mixon had a good game, 18.3. Najee Harris to me is, no, I was thinking of someone else. But Najee Harris, 11.2, kind of come back down to earth after a big game the other week. And then Njoku, pretty decent, 10.6, but again, he got hurt. He's another one who got injured. Pierce is the other one who I said I was a little bit high on, but again, with rookies, it's hit or miss. As far as your bench goes, Jeff Wilson, who at one time was RB1 in San Francisco, gets bumped down by Christian McCaffrey. Michael Gallup is supposed to come back, and hopefully that's one that I can see as something that can help you in the future. Garrett Wilson, here's a good one actually. Even though he had 4.4 points, I think one of the other receivers, was it Corey Davis? Somebody on the Jets, I think, got hurt too. And so Garrett Wilson is another one who can kind of blow up, especially with losing Breece Hall and then your other receiver. So he's a first round. He was on a lot of people's boards. He was the number one rookie wide receiver. Ended up Drake London was taken first. Garrett Wilson was taken second. So he has the potential there. And I like this strategy that you did with going after the Baltimore running backs. Everyone was saying it's Kenyon Drake's. Justice Hill was going to be the guy. You grabbed Duvernay and Edwards. And this week it was Edwards. So it's the Gus bust. That's a pretty big brain move. Maybe he can be a guy that you can move into the starting lineup and keep there if they consistently like him. 16 rushing attempts. That's pretty awesome for first game back. And he got 66 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. So looking positive, at least with him in the future for Brad. Most of all, Brad was able to barely stay alive by getting another win, moving him to 2-5. And then we go to the last game. This is the game that we've been waiting for since the trade happened. This is the first time we have head-to-head. The head-to-head we should just call this Derrick Henry versus Devontae Adams. Jeremy wins this one. It wasn't just because of Derrick Henry. It was a pretty low-scoring game for both, but Jeremy pulls out on top. Trevor Lawrence had 21.3 to Justin Herbert's 23.22. It seems like Justin Herbert is playing in quicksand for the last couple of weeks. I don't know what is going on. Some people are blaming, there are injuries is obviously one. Some people are blaming the new offensive coordinator. But he's not looking like the elite quarterback that he was last year. Michael Pittman, 7.8. Gary went with Josh Reynolds, who only had 1.3. A.J. Dillon only had 1.9. And Mark Andrews, who you have to rely on so much, had only 0.5. And it wasn't even receiving. It was a rush. He rushed for 4 yards, and that gave him 0.5. Ramondre Stevenson had a big 20.9 points. What did I say? Yeah, this is who I was thinking about. Ramondre Stevenson is RB1 for the Patriots, so I can understand keeping him. Nick Foles only 2, Tampa Bay D only 2. DJ Moore was the surprise. Remember who he said what's going to happen with Carolina? DJ Moore says, I don't care. I'm going to get mine. He gets 16.2. Tyler Algier is the one running back that is always forgotten for me, but he gets volume, so he's 12.6. So he's actually someone maybe you can rely on in the future. For Jeremy, Olave had 14.1. Pacheco, again, we said he's given a little bit more opportunities. So he had 8 rushing yards for 43, 8 rushing attempts for 43 rushing yards. So that's pretty decent, almost maybe a 60-40 split with CEH. But then 126 return yards is a nice little boost there. You get like a point for every 20 yards, so it's like an extra 6 points. Tanyan only 4.7, but you could have played Hawkinson, but 6.8. I don't know. They're kind of equal at that point. Tyler Lockett only had 8 points, but maybe his value goes up because DK Metcalf is out. Suckup only 3.2. LA Chargers only 4.5. Nicole Hardman, though, Huge game, 26.36. Big game for him. And the head-to-head, Devontae Adams had 13.5 to Derrick Henry 18.3. Not a lot of difference, but I was told that ever since this trade, had this trade not gone down, this is according to Eric. I'll tell you what he said. He told us. Had Gary kept Henry, Gary wins 3 games, including this week by 1 point. Should have won week 3 and week 4 with Henry, and Gary would have been 5-1 and in first place. So Gary is a true Raider fan. We admire your dedication to the Raiders. So who cares about fantasy? Go Raiders. It is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. It's kind of crazy. But like we said, you'll never live this down until we... I mean, maybe we can slow down now because we finally get that head-to-head matchup of that Blockbuster trade. Yeah, so that's all the recaps. I mean, bummer for me. I lost my 2 big guys, so I don't know if I have anything. But it's okay. I'm still having a lot of fun. Now it's just a matter of seeing if we can pick out these diamonds in the rough and try to pull it out. We won't talk about it today, but maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do like we'll look at everybody's records and their rosters and see the playoff picture, like how it because I think we're like about halfway through the regular season for us, and then there's going to be playoffs. So, and there's only 6. Remember, there's only 6. So there's a wild card round, and then a semifinals and a finals. So, anyways, it was actually a fun week for most of you guys. It sucks for me to see all my guys go down like flies, but that's okay. It's been a fun season, and we'll keep at it. So that's it. We'll talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.